I'm Sonnet with Sonnet's Garden Blooms. I want to welcome you all to my channel. So today's video, I went into my stash of wood and pulled out a bunch of boards. When you see what I pulled out, many of you are probably going to think it's a pile of junk. But I wanted to create a faux fireplace mantle for my booth at Antique Up, and then create some shelves to go on each side of the actual fireplace. So I haven't yet installed it, but we just finished it up. It's been crazy here in Wisconsin, rain nonstop since the 4th. So I was able to pick the boards on Thursday night, cut everything, get everything all set, let it dry Friday morning, and I sanded it, I put it all together, clear coated it, did everything, and now I have your video ready. So I hope you enjoy. It was a lot of fun coming up with this, and I love the shelves too. I think they turned out awesome, and it's just a couple pieces of wood. I put them together. I think it's gonna be great though, displaying like 2 on each side of the mantle on the sides. So I used an old door, old wood, you'll see. All right, enjoy.
All right, so tonight we are going to make a fireplace mantle and 4 decorative shelves out of what most people, like my husband, would call junk. So I'm sorry I'm waiting to the last minute to do this, but we're gonna do it tonight. It's been raining here like crazy in Wisconsin, so I have not had an opportunity to get out and make this. So it is Thursday night and I need this to be done by tomorrow. So I love this. This is like an old door, pieces of it. So I grabbed that, and some of the wood is a little wet. So before I can actually put it in my booth, we're gonna need to have it dry. But I also, this is another piece of the door. You're gonna see what I'm gonna do with all this junk, as like I said, so many people said. So let's go ahead and get started. So here I'm taking the longest board that I have. That board is roughly 7 inches wide. I'm cutting off the bottom of it initially. The bottom was pretty rough. So I wanted a clean piece to start off with, and I am cutting 2 pieces that are 45 inches long. Now this is going to create the bottom of the actual fireplace mantle, the 2 pieces that are going to be on the ground going up. And then I am also going to cut another piece which is 28 inches long, and that is going to be the cross piece for that. Now, this is, like I was saying earlier, these pieces are pretty wet. I did let them dry overnight, and they dried out pretty quick in the sun in the driveway. But I got this all set, and you're going to see how this goes. So one other thing that I do want to talk about, when you are working with a chop saw, miter saw, always have protective eyewear on, just in case anything does fly off. Sometimes there are kickbacks too, so always make sure when you are cutting your boards that you have a firm hold on the one side of it. I recently saw a video, or actually a post, I should say, not a video, a post on one other lady's page where she posted that she almost cut her fingers off on a saw like this. And it was very concerning to me because I don't think anyone should be afraid of a piece of equipment like this, as long as you know what you're doing and keep your fingers out of the way of the actual saw itself. The other thing too, you can see with my saw, it does have it's got a guard on it, so it prevents your fingers from getting in the way of the actual blade as well. So I just recommend holding onto that wood firmly and then cutting. And if there is a kickback to that, definitely just keep holding, and then, you can release it. I'm not really sure how she did that unless she put her fingers in the way of that blade, and seeing those graphic photos really gave me the EBGBs. So I just wanted to mention that in my video, but good luck. And like I said, just have confidence in your equipment. So here I am taking those 2 boards that I cut, actually the 3 boards that you just saw me cutting, and I'm laying out the base. So like I said, each of the pieces that go from the bottom up are 45 inches long, and the cross piece is 28 inches long. And you can see here what it's starting to look like. So here I've cut a cross piece, so you can see it's going to hold these 3 pieces together. It is about 1 inch longer than the entire length of that, so it sticks off about 1/2 inch on each side. Then I cut and I made a border, or like a piece of trim around the entire entrance to the actual mantle. I loved how that turned out. With the shelves, I'm going to use the pieces of the door with that shabby white, and I just thought it would tie it all in real nice. So I think it turned out awesome. Very excited about how this is looking so far. So here I am cutting the mantle top, and the last piece, I should have told you the length of it. I did mention that it was 1 inch longer, but the total length was 42, and then I cut that piece at 43. So this one I'm cutting, I want an additional inch overhang as well. So I'm cutting this at 44. So you can see that it did kick a little bit, and I had mentioned earlier about that. So I wanted to show you that, or talk to you about that too, that just hold it tight, and it will help with the kicking of if at any point it does kick. Now then I'm going to cut this piece. This is a little bit thicker, or I should say wider, and this is going to go on top of that other piece. So, and this one is going to be 45 inches. Just a little bit of an overhang on each, like I said. So I'm going to show you now how I'm going to stack them. So I have them stacked, and I realized I did not like how thin that initial board that I cut was. So I cut a thicker board and created so that the mantle was a little bit thicker. So I cut a back plate for the entire base. And then I'm really liking how this is turning out. And I did take off the white pieces initially, but then I ended up thinking I really wanted them. So here you can see I had additional boards, and I cut, these are the actual shelves that are going to be next to the mantle, and they're going to be in my booth at Antique Up. So I made those. I took the actual old boards from the door and just cut them, basically cut them in half, and used what I had. And I also cut a little, you see that light board on there? I am going to actually stain that to make it look old, and I'm going to distress it up a bit. So here I am going to take all the pieces and I am going to sand them. That is one thing that you want to do, is give each of the pieces just a real good sanding. My boards, I do have like a stash of boards, and they're old and dirty. This just brings out, cleans them up and brings out the grain again. So you're going to see I'm just going to go ahead and do that to each and every one of these boards. As I mentioned earlier, these had been wet, so I have them all laid out in the driveway, and just being out in the sun like that, it dried them right up. So I'm going to get these all sanded for you. And then the next step, we're going to put this all together, and you're going to see how the shelves and the mantle come together and turn out to be beautiful. So here I laid out the two pieces. So before, like I said, I did not like how thin that initial layer was, or the initial boards were. So I did cut a thicker board, and I laid the real decorative board on top of the thicker board. So because I did that, I had to use the brad nailer, and I nailed them together. And I used quite a few nails. They were the 2-inch nails, and I used quite a few just to make sure that they were held in place. So I did that to both sides and the top. Once I got that all done, then I started layering the other pieces. So I had to recut that top board. I had to trim off a little bit. When I added that secondary board, it kind of changed the measurements a little bit. So I recut it to make it fit, and then I did the brad nailer, and I nailed them all together here, just like I did with the two sides. And you can see it adds a real nice thickness to the whole piece. So now I'm taking that extra piece and I'm going to lay it down here. And the one thing that I noticed right away, I felt like this thinner board was not going to hold it all together. I was like, should I use it? Should I add another board? So I decided to add another board. So here I added another piece, just like a piece of that door that kind of all fell apart, and I had just chunks of it. I added that piece as a cross piece to hold the three pieces together. And now I've added that really cool piece of, like, it's a barn. It's from an old barn, and I've added that in. So now I am brad nailing that to the whitish board. And that having that big thicker piece there from the actual door really created a lot of stability, and I think that thinner board would not have done that. Now I'm adding the trim pieces around the opening of the mantle. And again, I just love how I added that other board and then these trim pieces. It really is turning out great. I'm really liking it, and I will give you another view. Oh, there I am, adding the secondary piece here to the other side. The brad nailer, honestly, you guys, was one of my best investments. I didn't know initially if I was going to use it as often as I do, but I do. And I love that I do not have to have it attached to any type of air compressor. I just charge the battery. So that one by far, I would definitely recommend. So then from there, I'm going to put the top piece on, and you can see very easily just pops a couple nails in here, and there you have it. Now I am going to put on the actual top of the mantle, and I'm starting with the smaller of the two boards that you remember that I had cut, and I'm just going to go ahead and screw in about, I think I did like 5 screws in the top, maybe 3. Then I added more. So I just wanted to make sure that I got them in there really good. Initially, the angle I was at kind of was a little hard to get it in there. But overall, it went real quick. So it just, the wood being as dry as I got it from just being out in the sun all day, it went really well. So I got that first board put on. And then from there, I will be adding the next board. So I evened it out, made sure it was even on both sides. And then again, I put like 3 to 5 screws in there. I used really long screws too, which will create a lot of stability within the piece and really hold it in place. So once I did that, I'm going to just show you how it turned out. I absolutely am loving it. So now I am going to clear coat the entire piece with the Minwax polyacrylic in matte. This is one of my favorite finishes to use, and it seals it all and it kind of darkened everything up. I'm loving how all the grain is coming out. I like the shabby chic of the white. I like all the different tones of the old vintage wood. So I'm going to go ahead. I gave both the mantle, the entire mantle, I clear coated the entire piece. I then went ahead and clear coated all of the shelves as well. I am going to show you how I put those together, but it was pretty simple. I just screwed the boards together and then did the clear coat on that too. The only thing is I should have probably did the wood first and then did the white, because the white being chippy, some of the white was coming off, and I had to really kind of pick a few times to make sure that any of the chippy white that went on the wood, I just had to make sure it wasn't sticking there. But other than that, I loved how it all turned out. Here I'm taking, if you remember the board that was like a real light color, I went ahead and I did a stain on it to make it look rustic and old. And then I'm taking the old board and I'm just taking 3 screws and screwing the board into that base. Having that extra piece of wood there just gave it a little bit of additional stability, which will be nice, especially when it is hanging on the wall and have pieces on it. So I plan on using these shelves to house different barn quilts and then some smalls as well. So I think they turned out great, and I'm very excited to show you guys what they look like actually in the booth.
So tell me what you think. Do you think I hit it, or do you think I missed it? Honestly, I love it. So I'm sure some people probably won't like it, but that's okay. I love it, and I think it's gonna look great in my booth. I will price it, just in case somebody does want to purchase it. And there was a firework. Honestly, I will definitely put a price tag on it. I will probably not price the actual shelves, because those will be a permanent fixture on the wall, and will house different smalls and probably my like barn quilts and things like that. I wanted to have something pop off those black walls at my antique up booth. So I will bring you guys along when I actually do the install and do some more flipping in that booth. That has just been a constant, continuous, I've just been trying to add to it since I took over the entire booth. So this coming Monday, I think I'm gonna be doing probably some flips, because I have a ton of booths to get a lot of stuff into. So I'm gonna be working diligently on my other booth at E Goat is like absolutely bare. You guys will have to see the video. I took video footage of it after the 4th of the July weekend. It's empty. I walked in and the individuals at the counter started laughing. I said, I'm here to check my booth. And they started laughing at me and they said, it's empty. And legit, it was empty. Like big pieces went, smalls went. My soaps went. I mean, I am gonna have to do a major overhaul on that booth. So that is going to be coming up too, but definitely Monday is probably going to be like a thrift treasure video, and I have some good stuff, you guys. I've been thrifting. So we'll see you then. Have a great weekend. Bye.